So we were talking about what inspired us to step into the microschool movement. And I know for myself, I was not looking to step into the microschool movement or really even return to education. I'm a former educator and I left education when I had my own children because I knew that I wanted to homeschool. I knew that I was not satisfied with the education that I was able to provide my students in a classroom environment because I was really hampered by administrative factors and legislation that wasn't serving my students. And so I stepped away from education really intentionally. And
Mhm.
what I found was that while I wasn't interested in returning to education, I continued to be interested in working with other people's children. And I still maintained that passion and desire to serve a wide variety of children. So when the opportunity to learn about microschools came knocking at my door, I wasn't particularly looking for it or even interested. I had a friend tell me about an information session for a microschool program and suggested that I would benefit by going. And I said, nope, not interested. That's not really something that I need or am looking for. So I didn't attend, but my friends did. And they came back and shared what they had learned about this opportunity. And the more I listened and the more I thought about what microschooling was and what this organization was trying to do, I realized that it really solved a problem in the homeschooling community that I didn't really know there was a solution for. And that problem was that homeschooling really is privilege based. You have to have somebody who's available to spend the hours homeschooling. You have to have an income level that allows you to have that opportunity. And at that time, to pay for curriculum because there was no opportunities for empowerment scholarships. And I knew so many people who were struggling in homeschooling because of a season of life, whether it was a new baby or a chronic illness that had disrupted their opportunity to homeschool effectively. I knew people who really wanted to homeschool but couldn't because of dynamics that prevented them from taking on that kind of responsibility or dedicating the time necessary. And so I started to think about the opportunity microschooling provided for me to serve other people's kids and offer the kind of education that I had initially been so passionate about providing in my classroom that I had found I was unable to execute on. So that really led
Mhm.
me to microschooling. And I'm so grateful that I did end up stepping into the microschooling movement because um, I've seen just how much impact it can have and how many people you can reach with these micro schools.
Yeah, that's awesome, Lori, and thank you for sharing that. I know my own story very much mirrors that in that I myself am a former high school teacher, taught in the public schools for goodness, nearly 10 years. What was interesting about my experience is that I taught entrepreneurship, and I found that the concepts I was trying to teach and the institutional design in which I were trying to teach it were often in direct conflict with each other, right? That's all about risk taking and trying new things, and it's okay to fail, and you failure is a process of learning, and you can't do that in school, right? Um, we talk about it, but institutionally, we don't operate in that way. And as much as I tried to bring real world authenticity into my classroom, everything that I did, my students viewed it as just another school project, and that just destroyed the authenticity. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to get kids like engaged in the learning, where they don't view it as artificial, where they don't view it as something that someone else is pushing on them. They're just hoops that they have to jump through, games that they have to play until they can eventually get on with living their life. So I stepped away from the classroom, from teaching full time. I had been continuously engaged in education and various projects, but my dream was really to start a small learning center where I could help primarily high school age kids engage in, inquiry based, passion driven education. And there was just no support for people who wanted to build something like that. There was interest from the community, but when the choice is, I can pay you gobs and gobs of money to run this private school that's untested, and your learning models different and strange, and I don't know how to address this kind of, I don't know how to gauge how my child is doing. It felt like a bridge too far to cross. And so I spent several years kind of pursuing this and just not seeing the pieces come together. It got to the point where I thought, well, maybe if I had some institutional backing, this would be much more widely accepted. And I pursued this as a course of research, uh, as a PhD program at some local universities, and it was a little bit ahead of its time. Or there might have been other reasons why I wasn't accepted into the program, which is fine, because what that did force me to do is put myself in a position where I was just exploring radical education opportunities, and microschooling came up. And I thought, this isn't exactly what I want to do, but it is close enough that I know I'm doing meaningful, purposeful work. I'm I'm teaching in a way that I am excited about this. Um, I trust this model, and I have had a phenomenal experience. Like you said, I'm so glad that I jumped into the micro school space. Now it's where, um, my family, not just me, but my family has been working in the micro school space for close to 5 years now, with myself having experience running a micro school. My children, five of the seven, have experience attending micro schools. And now my wife currently operates a micro school here in our home. So it is something that we are still living every single day. And it has been such a phenomenal change, such a positive change for our family, for our communities. Um, and it has trickled out in other interactions that my children have with their peers, to where now my high school children uh, have to spend time explaining to their peers how their time spent in micro schools is what they attribute their current academic success to, because it taught them how to take control of their own education. It's been a phenomenal experience for us.
It's so exciting to see those kids who have had early microschool experiences step into older adolescence and be able to speak so eloquently about what microschooling is and how it benefits society. I have a student that I've been working with from my original microschool who's now a sophomore in high school. And the way that he understands what microschooling has done for him and what it could do for others is so inspiring, and it gives me so much hope about what the future holds.
Oh yeah. And there's so much more opportunity now. So hopefully as we go throughout these modules, we'll demonstrate, how even some of the early constraints that we faced, some of the early challenges we faced, like now we've had people trailblaze those. We don't have all the answers, but we do have some answers. And so hopefully we can help, everyone here navigate through this space and find not just what works for them, but what works for the students, what works for their communities, so they can really be a force for change.